I just leave. I go home. I go home to my life, and I take care of my cat and do all the stuff I'm supposed to.
The courtroom is packed. The excruciating pressure. Then, suddenly, the camera's Whoopi Goldberg falters. Catch it. Not yet physically, but everything else breaks down. Her confidence and presence. The courtroom authority she formerly held, her hunch, is blinking too quickly. One hand twitched close to her cheek as the other gripped the desk. Since this isn't television, the same woman who dominated the scene like royalty suddenly appears to be struggling for breath. It's war. Additionally, Karoline just dropped a bombshell. A judge has hurried the $800 million case that Whoopi once dismissed through the courts, obviously with delays. And now, Whoopi is being destroyed by flying emotions. With the entire country watching, she is ruthlessly disintegrating in public. Prior to dissecting this spectacular collapse, smash that like button for truth. If you believe that fame does not equate to exemption, subscribe. You did a fantastic job because everything is going to blow up. Let's go back in time to when this entire fire started.
These women are completely out of touch with reality, and you're right, ABC should wake up.
The stage was prepared. When the cameras started rolling, Karoline Leavitt entered the set of The View with a cool, unflinching demeanor, as if she owned it. However, rather than receiving a warm welcome, the co-hosts crowded around her like predators, spotting weakness. Joy Behar was the first to strike. She made fun of Karoline's youth with a sneer and a jab, wondering how someone so young could ever have genuine political understanding. Then there was laughter. The hosts smiled. Then, with a smirk tinged with contempt, Tsunami host spoke about white privilege. She had stated it previously, but this time it came like a premeditated, crisp sniper shot. And then, the queen of scathing. Comments Whoopi Goldberg dropped the blade while leaning in close and locking eyes. You weren't paid this. You are merely the result of right-wing sympathy politics. The audience let forth a roar. Karoline was greeted by the panel. She didn't flinch, spar, or grandstand. She made notes of everything she said, including every smirk. Days later, there was no emotional podcast, no tweet storm, and no cryptic message for a selfie. She brought a $800 million defamation lawsuit, and the headlines created, all of Whoopi's sentences are now displayed as Exhibit A. The View initially shrugged it off, but now she's grabbing. Whoopi sneered. "This is not going anywhere," Sonny added. The panel laughed and disregarded it in real time, expecting it to disappear like yesterday's outcry. However, this wasn't a flight. This was a reckoning. A court order has now accelerated the case. Depositions are now higher. Witness lists are growing. Findings expanded to include internal conversations and private communications. Whoopi is far from ready, and testimonies have already been prepared. ABC's nightmare is getting worse. The cutthroat legal team of Karoline uncut footage, pre-show memoranda, behind-the-scenes chatter, all messages exchanged prior to the episode airing, and even Slack logs from the control room have all been asked. Additionally, someone familiar with the investigation claims that the evidence they have found is devastating. God-damning. Since this concerns a pattern rather than a single Whoopi line, a pattern of derision, a pattern of addressing a trend of performative indignation that became all too real, and no longer is there a pause button, a commercial break, or a laugh track to hide it. Under oath, only the truth, and Whoopi is in the spotlight. Courtroom tensions are high. There is the faint hum of reporters' pens scrawling, the rustle of legal documents, and the subtle buzz of photographers adjusting their lenses. Then, suddenly, Karoline's legal team presents the first piece of proof, a record including internal comments, time codes, and explicit directives from the creators at The View. It says, "Have Joy needle her on age, then let Whoopi go hard, it'll trend." The gallery lets out a gasp. On the screen, another component flashes. When Karoline reacts, keep the camera close. That's our clip. Courtroom astonishment. It's not commentary. This isn't impromptu television. This is a purposeful orchestration. This is a staged takedown masquerading as conversation throughout the day. The judge raises his eyebrows and leans forward. Whoopi becomes pallid. Her attorney puts a gentle hand on her arm as a comforting gesture, following producer's directions at the scene. She flinches away. Her eyes are wide. She seems to be exploring the room for an escape that is no longer there exists. And the bombshells keep coming. Slack messages between the producers. Make reference to Trump to see if she falls for it. Plan B, lean in with race, Sonny. If Karoline doesn't move, we have our chance. Segment coordinators' emails to one another. Let Whoopi take the lead. She is credible. The crowd is going to love it. In one internal script draft, there is even a bolded line. Attack with humor and discard with intelligence. Turn the audience over. To make matters worse, Karoline's team uses forensic text to verify the electronic signatures. All of the messages and timestamps are authentic. The judge's expression is hardly controllable. He takes off his spectacles, puts them down, and turns to face the lawyers from ABC. Did your producers prepare your hosts for this particular silence? Not a single word from ABC. There was no rejection or argument, just wide-eyed lawyers leafing through books as if they were looking for a way out. Additionally, in the corner, Whoopi Goldberg's clenched hands gripped each other so tightly that her knuckles became white. She is afraid because this is more than just a PR catastrophe. She is neither perplexed nor shocked. This is a courtroom destruction. Additionally, Karoline has yet to speak. Now, the second hour of the proceedings has passed. The air feels denser and the lights in the courtroom feel hotter. Whoopi Goldberg, the former master of composed retorts and sassy monologues, is silent. She's stumbling. She used to have proud, square shoulders, but now they sag like a lady carrying invisible burdens. Known for their expressive narrative on national television, her hands are now constantly fidgeting, twisting a tissue, smoothing the trial table, and correcting the fake dust.
I respect everything everyone is saying to me, and I don't want to fake apologize. I'm very upset about that people are misunderstood what I was saying.
Courtroom destruction. Additionally, Karoline has yet to speak. Now, the second hour of the proceedings has passed. The air feels denser and the lights in the courtroom feel hotter. Whoopi Goldberg, the former master of composed retorts and sassy monologues, is silent. She's stumbling. She used to have proud, square shoulders, but now they sag like a lady carrying invisible burdens. Known for their expressive narrative on national television, her hands are now constantly fidgeting, twisting a tissue, smoothing the trial table, and correcting the fake dust table. A Balif approaches her discreetly to see how she is doing. "I didn't know they saved all of that," she murmurs. Her voice sounded utterly defeated. On the opposite side of the courtroom, Karoline Leavitt sits cool, unflappable, and ungloating, just determined. She observes Whoopi with the same composed demeanor that she had before everything began, as if she had anticipated this moment and had prepared for it. Whoopi's lawyer reappears carrying tissues, a bottle of water, and some words of support. However, Whoopi doesn't grin or speak. She is not Whoopi. She breaks, and she is a different person when court resumes. America watched with interest. Table A, Balif approaches her discreetly to see how she is doing. "I didn't know they saved all of that," she murmurs. Her voice sounded utterly defeated. On the opposite side of the courtroom, Karoline Leavitt sits cool, unflappable, and ungloating, just determined. She observes Whoopi with the same composed demeanor that she had before everything began, as if she had anticipated this moment and had prepared for it. Whoopi's lawyer reappears carrying tissues, a bottle of water, and some words of support. However, Whoopi doesn't grin or speak. She is not Whoopi. She breaks, and she is a different person when court resumes. America watched with interest. Contemporary. History. Why? Since Whoopi Goldberg wasn't just put on trial in the courtroom, it brought attention to the entire machine behind her on ABC's Panic in Business. Workplaces has reached a nuclear level. High executives are using emergency Zoom calls several times a day, sometimes even before dawn, to gauge the impact. Every exchange was muffled and redacted, NDA locked. An insider muttered, "We believe the lawsuit would be dropped. It's now a complete catastrophe." The legal staff is putting in extra time going through producer emails, Slack logs, and episodes to find anything that can help safeguard the network. According to reports, ABC's Human Resources Division has been directed to examine each episode, including political guests from the prior 18 months. It's only the beginning, though. Numerous sponsors have already started withdrawing. Inconspicuously, stylish skincare brand, a longtime auto sponsor, has asked to put a hold on ad placement until more notice. A boycott is not the same as a strategic retreat, because no company wants to be caught in the middle of an $800 million defamation lawsuit. And daytime drama. In the production wing of The View, the atmosphere is apocalyptic. Employees are cleaning up old resumes. In private coffee sessions, associate producers are meeting with competitor networks. Numerous interns reportedly questioned managers about the possibility that their names will appear in the lawsuit documents. But the most significant change, line by line, ABC is going over Whoopi's contract, not simply the terms of her performance, but her legal safeguards. They are examining her moral statements. Her standards for social conduct are guided by her public obligation. In other words, they're searching for the exit hatch. Marketing teams have halted all promotional content that features Whoopi's face, according to sources, and internal talks regarding a smooth transfer out have already started.
And it's not good for poor folks. It is not good for y'all because you become slave fodder. It's not a good thing. It's not good for women because you are now being told and dictated to, and you can't say anything because they, throw you in a jail or whatever. And people got very, very, very angry, and still are angry. I mean, I'm getting, all of the mail from folks, and the very real anger because people feel.
Reruns of contentious programs are even being taken from the queues of syndication, and the dagger is here. A formal draft of an exit strategy is now being prepared. According to reports, it involves a public health-related break, a pre-planned goodbye announcement on television, a gradual changeover to a new host panel, media talking points for damage control interviews, and, although no one will say it aloud, direct and private insiders. Whoopi may be out. Not next. Season, not next year. Because ABC is aware of the true stakes in this legal battle, which is getting hotter by the day. It's not just one host, it's their whole brand, and Whoopi's reputation might fail if they don't take immediate action. The scenery itself is what Whoopi Goldberg breaks under the pressure of her own statements, and ABC frantically tries to save a sinking ship. Karoline Leavitt is soaring into the skies. This is more than just a conservative firebrand defending itself. This is the decade's biggest media event.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
Well, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time.
Throughout Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, formerly known as Twitter frame by frame, clips of Karoline's cool-headed courtroom manner are being stitched and examined. Like as expose the receipts globally, Karoline is a symbol of media accountability and receipts rather than ranting. She didn't even blink, she didn't yell, and she didn't rush out. What she did was appear in court with a heavy binder of evidence in hand, her hair tied back, and a navy blazer. She then went through hours of depositions with the composure of someone 3 times her age. No emotional outbursts or eye rolls, simply laser-focused resolve. There is little consensus among political commentators. This is how you respond to media smears regardless of your feelings about her views.
The most divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy.
Fox News hosts are referring to her as a potential political and legal force. Indeed, CNN analysts have declared her performance to be strategically perfect. Even some well-known center-left authors have acknowledged on Substack that Karoline completed her homework, and it's evident. However, more than just pundits are paying attention. Celebrities are discreetly offering supportive notes behind the scenes. Karoline was allegedly DM'd on Instagram by a famous A-list actress with a brief message. "You have more courage than the majority of Hollywood put together." And that's not an exaggeration, because prominent personalities are expected to either lash out or remain silent when assaulted in a culture that Karoline took a different route. She had receipts with her. Courtroom admissible receipts that are literally time-stamped. No victimization, no tirades, simply evidence. The type of evidence that transforms rhetoric into legal responsibility. The type of evidence that compels even ardent doubters to take notice. Even more startling is the fact that she hasn't spoken to the media since the court started. No cryptic Instagram posts, no tweet storms, no interviews. Karoline's approach is as evident as her testimony in court, despite the Views camp's hasty attempts to assign blame. Allow the audience to observe and guess what the truth is. The public is observing her video clips have received over 50 million views on various platforms. Over 2 million people have signed petitions calling for networks like ABC to be held responsible for their biased and deceptive attacks. Consider that once derided as being too young and conservative to be taken seriously, a 20-something press secretary is today praised as an example of successful media pushback. Some are even referring to her as Gen Z's first courtroom icon. She is changing the battlefield in addition to winning the lawsuit. Because traditional media channels like The View have been able to get away with targeting opinions they disagree with, protected behind the shield of amusement. However, Karoline Leavitt did more than simply fight back. She established a precedent and might have done something unexpected in the process. She started the truth movement. Okay? It's your moment to talk now that the dust is starting to settle. Let's not act like this is simply another celebrity squabble in court. This narrative is about what happens when influential media voices are finally questioned and the script is turned upside down. It is not about gossip or small-time drama. After giving moral lectures to the world for years, we would like to know, if Whoopi Goldberg should be removed from public view fairness and civic duty, was Karoline Leavitt justified in taking this to court? Or did she finally do what so many others were afraid to do? Stand up to the machine and say, enough is enough? Did she open a legacy institution that has been making fun of people for decades with no consequences? More importantly, is this the beginning of the end for legacy? Is it fair that she now has to deal with the fallout from her own televised remarks? Should ABC allow her to walk, or should they force her to answer for what happened on their platform? Has Karoline Leavitt finally pulled back the curtain and shown America how manipulative and performative shows like The View can really be? If this lawsuit sets a precedent, it won't just affect Whoopi or ABC. Has media bullying finally ended the days of hiding behind its just commentary? Every producer, host, and network might be forced to consider, what's my accountability when I turn on that mic? Now feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. I'm reading all of it. Every defense, every hot take, every mic drop. This is not only a summary, it's a dialogue, and your voice counts. If you think that everyone should be held responsible, regardless of how well-known they are, don't forget to hit the like button before you leave. For more daring commentary that the mainstream won't dare to voice aloud, subscribe. Tell someone who still believes the perspective is harmless daytime television nonsense about this. Considering that what just transpired wasn't nonsense, this was a cultural revelation. A line in the sand, and out here with a binder full of receipts and a loudhailer, is Karoline Leavitt. She is spearheading a movement in addition to protecting herself. If this courtroom breakdown is any indication, the true conflagration hasn't even begun, so stay tuned.